Thanks for joining us for CBN News Today. I'm Charlene Aaron.
And I'm Ephraim Graham. Tensions are escalating in eastern Ukraine this morning. Government forces are trying to retake a city held by pro-Russian insurgents. The military operations come as violent clashes continue to spread to other parts of the country. Our George Thomas has the details.
The fragile government in Ukraine is losing control of city after city. For the first time since the crisis started last year, the country's third largest city of Odessa saw mass demonstrations for and against Russian interference.
Odessa has demonstrated yet again that this is really a Ukrainian city and that the citizens of Odessa can't be broken easily.
Over the weekend, pro-Russian activists stormed the main police headquarters, freeing some 70 prisoners. The men walked out of their cells to a hero's welcome, and people chanting, "Odessa is a Russian city." Police just stood and watched.
There is no united Ukraine anymore after what has happened here.
Ukraine's prime minister says Russia is trying to destroy his country.
And this is the part of Russian roadmap, how to grab and to eliminate Ukraine.
The violence in Odessa comes as Ukraine struggles to regain control of several cities it has lost in the east to pro-Russian militants. The U.S. ambassador to Ukraine worries the situation in Odessa could be a tipping point.
I think at this point, the whole country is trying to figure out what happened, how to pull together, and how to make sure that those who are trying to divide the country will not be successful.
In Washington and in Western capitals, growing fears that Ukraine is inching closer to potential war.
Putin has successfully dismembered the Ukraine by using special forces and intelligence agents to disrupt the Ukraine. I fear now that there will be a civil war.
Graham and others in Congress believe the limited sanctions put on Russia so far have done nothing to stop Vladimir Putin's aggressive behavior.
What I would do if I were the administration, I would sanction the energy economy of Russia, the banking system of Russia, and try to drive the Russian economy into the ground, and I would help arm the Ukrainian people.
Russia has thousands of troops sitting on Ukraine's eastern border. Some, including top Democrats, are calling on the Obama administration to show more international leadership on the crisis.
The whole world looks to the United States, whether it's in Africa, whether it's in Ukraine, whether it's in Asia. There's no substitute for the United States, and my belief is that we need to be active and engaged.
George Thomas, CBN News.
A special House committee is investigating what it calls White House stonewalling on the Benghazi attacks of September 11th. And it's issued a subpoena to Secretary of State John Kerry to testify in a hearing later this month. In a letter to John Kerry, Chairman Darrell Issa said the State Department has shown a, quote, disturbing disregard for its legal obligations to Congress. Issa warned Kerry the actions could constitute a criminal offense. This comes as recently released emails showed the administration withheld documents from congressional investigators.
If it were up to the White House, you would have never known about this email. Congress subpoenaed all documents related to Benghazi in August, so 20 months later, they're hiding things. And when they say this email doesn't matter, these are the same people that tried to hide it. And what was the purpose of this email? To protect the White House politically from the damage that could have been done from the truth coming out about Benghazi 6-7 weeks before the election.
The State Department did order an independent review following the assault, and a spokesperson calls claims of stonewalling just false.
The team heading the search for the missing Malaysia plane want to verify it's searching in the right place. A panel of aviation experts will re-examine all data gathered in the nearly 2-month-old hunt for the plane. They want to make sure crews who have been scouring a remote patch of the ocean aren't looking in the wrong place. The data that led to the current search area will be reanalyzed and combined with all information gathered so far. Officials say the underwater search is likely to take nearly a year.
Nigeria's president says everything must be done to free 276 girls kidnapped by Islamic extremists. President Goodluck Jonathan spent the night meeting with security service chiefs, political officials, and the principal of the school where the victims were kidnapped. A federal senator from the area said some of the girls have already been forced into marriage with their abductors. The president's push to do more comes as citizens expressed outrage with protest marches in Nigeria and New York City last week.
We often hear Palestinian supporters refer to the so-called West Bank and half of Jerusalem as occupied territories. They say Israel doesn't have a right to the land. But in one small Italian town, history tells a different story. Here's Chris Mitchell from San Remo, Italy.
Former Israeli President Chaim Weizmann said this picturesque town on the Mediterranean played a crucial role in Israel's modern history.
He said that it's not an exaggeration to say that the Jewish state was born in San Remo.
Following the defeat of the Ottoman Empire in World War I, leaders of the Allied powers met in San Remo. Their goal? A new Middle East. While most of the land went to the Arab people, the Jewish people received back their ancient homeland. What happened here in San Remo in 1920 transformed the Middle East, and for the first time in nearly 2,000 years, the nations of the world recognized a Jewish homeland.
What is very important to understand is that long before the Holocaust, there was already an agreement that the Jewish people had a right to statehood, they had a right to self-determination, just like any other people groups.
2014 marks the 94th anniversary of the San Remo Resolution. Israel also recognizes San Remo as a present-day foundation in its battle for a place among the nations.
Since there is an effort today to question our legitimacy, we have to go back to San Remo and say, look, here is the international document agreed by all members of the League of Nations at the time, that says that, yes, we have this right.
And that right provides historical ammunition to fight the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement called BDS. It aims to persuade companies and countries to withdraw money and investments from Israel.
It counters the arguments of the BDS movement to say that, Israel is a colonial power. It is the opposite. Many historians would say that the San Remo resolution also was the beginning of the decolonization process, because here we have a people group that have been occupied for 1,800 years that are finally getting their recognition of statehood.
Sandel adds anyone questioning the modern state of Israel can find the answer in this Italian connection.
When we today have this whole question of, do the Jewish people really belong in Israel? Do they have a legitimate claim to the land? That question was decided once and for all in 1920 under international law here at this very place, San Remo.
Chris Mitchell, CBN News, San Remo, Italy.
Americans are spending thousands of dollars every year just to pay for the constantly growing number of federal regulations. That is one of the findings from the annual report called 10,000 Commandments, issued every year by the Competitive Enterprise Institute. It points out that the 2013 Federal Register contains more than 79,000 pages, the fourth highest ever. The 10,000 Commandments also says the cost of those regulations comes to nearly $15,000 per household. Overall, the report estimates federal regulations cost Americans nearly $2 trillion a year. That's more than the gross domestic product of Canada or Australia.
Next year, public school students will be seeing healthier lunches in the cafeteria. Pasta and other grain products will have to be whole grain rich or more than half whole grain, including pizza crust, tortillas, and even grits. But some school officials say the menu changes are expensive and difficult to prepare. They're concerned because many of the healthier options like fruit, vegetables, and whole grain tortillas are already ending up in the trash. The government is also requiring lower sodium and healthier vending machine snacks.
Is the family relevant? That's the question at the heart of a new documentary by Focus on the Family. Irreplaceable follows a married father of 4 as he embarks on a trip around the world to explore the current state of marriage and family. It tackles some of the most critical and avoided topics in society, including the abandonment of the father in families, gender selection abortion, and why today's hooking up generation is destroying the feminist movement. CBN News spoke with Focus on the Family President Jim Daly about what the film hopes to accomplish.
Look at all the social science around this issue, and children do best when they're in a home of a loving biological mom and dad. And we need to concentrate on that again. We need to help rebuild that. And I think the movie can spark that discussion once again in our country.
Irreplaceable opens Tuesday for a special one-night screening in selected theaters.
The first openly gay bishop of the Episcopal Church has announced he is divorcing his husband. Gene Robinson announced the news in an email to the Diocese of New Hampshire. The couple had been married since 2010, when New Hampshire legalized gay marriage. The union created international uproar, and many Episcopalians broke away from the main church. Robinson left his wife and 2 children when he openly declared he was gay.
It was a big weekend in the nation's capital as the White House Correspondents Association held its annual dinner. America's top journalists joined newsmakers and celebrities to walk the red carpet. CBN News had the pleasure of hosting Washington Redskins quarterback Kirk Cousins, along with the Burpos, the family that the hit movie Heaven is for Real is based on. Each year, CBN News invites newsmakers striving to live out their Christian faith.
Whatever I'm doing, I want to make it clear that my life is built on Jesus Christ and He's the foundation of my life. So whether it's football or giving a talk or running a football camp or going back to my old high school, everything I do, I want to be able to proclaim my faith. And so just try to walk as Jesus walked, as it says in 1 John 2:6, and live out the Christian life the best I can.
I think that this movie is going to be able to reach even more people than the book has, and I welcome it.
I think God's going to use it to reach a lot of people to think about, hey, there is life after death, and this Jesus who took Colton to heaven might want to take them too if they would put Jesus in their lives. And I'm like, what a wonderful possibility.
Heaven is for Real was among the top 5 movies over the weekend.
And still to come, the controversial surgery that's helping people lose lots of weight, but does it contribute to overall health? New research has the answers.
Millions of Americans with an ostomy live their lives to the fullest every day. And over the last 10 years, thousands have chosen Liberator Medical as their caring and reliable resource for ostomy supplies. Liberator Medical is a nationally accredited Medicare, Medicaid, and insurance provider, so we can handle all your Medicare, Medicaid, and insurance paperwork and billing. And Liberator Medical has been chosen as a preferred supplier by all the leading ostomy manufacturers, including Coloplast, Hollister, Convatec, and Generics. We supply all these leading ostomy brands, so you can always get the ostomy supplies and accessories you want and trust. And all of our ostomy care specialists are product certified by the manufacturers. Shipping is free and discreetly delivered right to your door. Unhappy with your present ostomy supplier? Call Liberator Medical and ask about our free ostomy sampling program. We also offer catheters and urological supplies.
Call 1-800-513-3076. That's 1-800-513-3076.
Pat Boone here with some good news you can trust. Today, our faith, families, and our freedoms are under attack. Polls say 2 out of 3 Americans no longer trust government. A stalled economy, weakening dollar, and politicians willing to steal money from our children to waste on unfixable problems. So, whom can you trust? Well, our money still says in God we trust. But do we? Or have we quietly allowed the things we hold sacred to be stolen by the enemies of traditional values? Today, our government spends almost twice its income, running up a tab for future generations into the hundreds of trillions. How can you stop this from happening to your family? Well, it's all covered in a fantastic new book, The Great Withdrawal by Craig Smith and Dr. Lowell Ponte. Every American needs to read this book. Why don't you call now for a free copy of The Great Withdrawal? It's the simple truth you can trust.
A possible link between high doses of antidepressants and suicidal behavior in young people when those high doses are given early in treatment. That's the finding from a new study published in the Journal of American Medical Association Internal Medicine. Teens and young adults who started their treatment with higher than recommended doses were twice as likely to have suicidal thoughts or try to hurt themselves, especially in the first 3 months. And you can find out more about this study by going to cbnnews.com.
Some people who need to lose a lot of weight just can't seem to do it the natural way and turn to weight loss surgery. But do the results last, or do people who have the surgery later gain back the weight? Our Lori Johnson takes a look.
Lisa Streb is loving her new, thinner body and says she owes it all to her weight loss surgery, also known as bariatric surgery.
I'm sorry I didn't do it sooner. I'm sorry I didn't do it when I was younger and had more fun with this new life. The rest of my life is in front of me, and there's nothing to stop me at this point.
Like most people who undergo bariatric surgery, Lisa lost most of her weight in the first year after the procedure. But now it's been 3 years, and she's managed to keep it off.
It's just been a completely new life for me, and I just embraced it and just enjoy every day of it now.
Dr. Anita Kirkoulis studied more than 2,000 people who underwent one of 2 types of weight loss surgery. She discovered many success stories 3 years after their procedure.
There was substantial weight change following both bariatric procedures at 3 years after surgeries. And we also saw improvements in diabetes, lipids, and blood pressure at the 3-year time point as well.
The patients lost, on average, about 1/4 of their initial weight. About half saw improvement in their diabetes. Blood pressure improved in almost everyone. The results were published in the Journal of the American Medical Association.
Study authors say while there were improvements in weight loss and other health outcomes, they were less than what's been shown in prior studies.
And while many doctors prescribe bariatric surgery to their overweight patients, there are plenty who think it should only be used in extreme cases.
For some patients who are morbidly obese, their body weight is very high. They're 600, 700, 800 pounds. That sometimes is the best choice for them as they are trying to figure out how to lose weight. However, I suggest people try to do a medically supervised weight loss program before to see how much weight that they can lose.
Dr. Snyder says regardless of how patients lose their weight, the key to keeping it off is maintenance.
The exercise, the building in accountability with coworkers, with family members, with friends, via Facebook or in person is crucial, because any tool can help somebody lose weight quickly, but you have to address what's the reasons people became overweight in the first place.
In fact, he's helped bariatric surgery patients who gained back their weight lose it again with diet and keep it off with a strong support system. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Up next, do students have the right to privacy? You may be shocked to find out all the information that schools are collecting about your kids.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need, just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions, just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card, just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
And welcome back. These days, we almost expect the government to monitor our phone calls, emails, and what we buy with our credit cards. But few people know that our schools are also keeping more and more information on their own students.
It might help improve their education, but does it violate the students' privacy? Heather Sells brings us the story.
Once upon a time, schools used folders and files to track students' progress. Today, teachers like Sarah Cleaforth use their laptops to collect information throughout the day.
Using data is a great way for me to be able to differentiate and cater my instruction to different kids' needs.
The problem, what happens to that data after it's collected? Today, 95% of school districts use vendors and so-called computer clouds to store all kinds of student information. But policies for protecting that data are generally weak and non-transparent. A recent study found only 25% of schools tell parents where their kids' information is stored. Another scary part, much of that data can be sold or marketed. Plus, many contracts allow vendors to keep student information forever.
We found in our research that essentially every school system across the country was collecting data. But when you ask school officials about what they were doing, they often were confused.
In Colorado, concerns over privacy led the state to completely sever its ties with its student data collection program. At issue, concerns over very personal information.
I think we have generally not a lot of understanding about what level of data is collected on our kids in schools, what protections are offered.
A year ago, moms Sunny Flynn and Rachel Strickland began investigating their district's plan to use a cloud service known as InBloom. First, it sounded good, and then they began to realize the amount of data that InBloom intended to collect.
When you really studied the InBloom infrastructure, the theory is that they can track our children all the way down to the keystroke level. And that's where I started to get very alarmed.
While their district didn't plan to use InBloom to that degree, Flynn and Strickland realized it could easily happen, where the district not only tracked kids' answers on the computer, but the way they thought to arrive at their answers. They also discovered that 8 other states plan to use InBloom. The even bigger picture, InBloom is just one service in a huge $8 billion education technology market. Much of it hinges on collecting what are known as data points on kids. Check out this promise from a tech whiz at a White House conference on education.
Newton can figure out things like you learn math best in the morning between 8:40 and 9:13 a.m. You learn science best in 42-minute bite sizes.
InBloom also attracted school districts by providing a convenient way to access student information from different sources. Another incentive, the Department of Education offers special funding to states that develop ways to track student information from preschool to post-college. Lots of good reasons for signing up, but Elliot Asp, Special Assistant to Colorado's Education Commissioner, admits his state didn't think carefully enough about privacy when committing to InBloom.
It's almost too much of a good thing. Gosh, we can collect this data and we can make it available to teachers to do this.
Colorado and 8 other states ultimately decided to end their contracts with InBloom, leading the startup to close up shop just last month. In doing so, it acknowledged that building public support will require more time and resources than anyone could have anticipated. But even with InBloom's demise, the challenge of how best to store and protect student data is far from over.
The states that we're in touch with are saying we need to be very careful about this, about the language we use, about the kind of data we're collecting. We need to be much more transparent.
One issue, changes in the federal student privacy law known as FERPA.
These recent FERPA regulations allow schools to collect more information and allow schools also to disclose additional information.
And privacy expert Kalia Barnes adds the scope of information is much broader.
We're talking not just GPAs and test scores. We're talking social security numbers. We're talking about teen pregnancy information. We're talking mental health information, socioeconomic status, issues like that.
For Strickland, Flynn, and other privacy-minded parents across the country, it's time to hit pause on this technology wave before it goes too far.
I think that the technology has simply gotten ahead of the leadership, and I think it's time that everybody slow down and really understand what we're getting ourselves into.
Going forward, tough questions remain, like how can parents access this data on their children? And can they opt out? Also, how long is data kept? And who decides what will be deleted?
Once you let the information out, you can never get it back. And so really the goal is for parents at this point is to minimize the amount of data that is collected on our children, and then whatever is collected, protect it with maximum protections.
For these moms and many other tech-savvy parents, technology represents a double-edged sword. It can help teachers like Cleforth individualize children's education. They worry, however, that personal pieces of information collected on their kids could someday be used against them. Reporting in Denver, Heather Sells, CBN News.
Do you have an idea for an invention or a new product? Brian and Alice Jagosh, the inventors of the halftime drill driver, did. They invented a power drill attachment that lets you drill, flip, and drive in seconds. Brian and Alice licensed their invention to the company that brought you the Snuggie, and it's now selling in major retailers nationwide. Look for the Invent Help Caveman on the package. If you have an invention that you would like to try to patent and submit to companies for possible review and want free information on how Invent Help may be able to assist you, call now. Invent Help is America's largest inventor service company with sales offices in more than 60 cities nationwide. Call Invent Help today for free information. Our clients made a financial gain with their invention, but this is just their individual result. Brian and Alice's experience is not typical, as only a very small number of inventions are licensed or sold in stores.
For your free inventors information, call 1-800-559-8567. That's 1-800-559-8567.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957.
Finally today, folks here at CBN are celebrating after receiving 5 Daytime Emmy Award nominations.
3 for Gordon Robertson's Made in Israel series and 2 for the CBN animated series Superbook. Made in Israel is a 5-part series highlighting the country's remarkable innovation in the areas of agriculture, water, medicine, environment, and technology. Superbook is an animated series that brings the Bible stories to life through the adventures of 2 children and a robot. The children's show is viewed in 160 countries. You can find out more details at our website, cbnnews.com.
Go CBN.
Indeed.
That's awesome. Honored.
Indeed it
Man,
is.
well, that's going to do it for now on CBN News Today. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com.
And take the time to tell us what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do that on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. Make it a magnificent Monday, everybody.
Inside every child is a hero, a leader, a friend to others, someone who helps out, who does the right thing, who dreams of what they can be, but they still need our help.
What should I do? What should I say? How should I feel?
That's where Superbook comes in. It provides moral and spiritual truths through situations children can relate to, teaching God's Word to the children you love. Join the Superbook DVD Club and receive Superbook's newest episodes as they're available, plus 2 copies to share with others, all for your gift of only $25. Get Superbook today and watch the miracles happen.
Every day, people are connecting on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube.
Now you can be part of the conversation and connect on topics you care about through 700 Club Interactive. Log on to Facebook, Twitter, or go to YouTube and share your opinions, your prayer requests, and your videos while making friends in our community.
Well, welcome to the show.
Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. 700 Club Interactive. Be a part of the show.